phone. Okay, my apologies, but apparently a government official has made it necessary for me to request that somebody from the engineering or planning basically explain why you cannot cross the street on a sidewalk anywhere in the city.
Wait, say it again?
The city, C-I-T-Y.
No. What did you ask?
Well, apparently I have been cited for crossing the street without using the sidewalk.
Well, I mean, just to be clear, there's no sidewalk in a street, right? So it's a pedestrian crossing.
Yeah, and last time through I actually got a map of the area to verify there were no crosswalks in the area either. If I remember right, the only legal way to parallel park in this city too is that we have to park with the passenger side facing the curb, meaning that every time we step out of the driver's side of the car, we are technically stepping into the street. So unless I'm sliding across the center of the car through the passenger door in and out, I'm technically violating that law too.
Yeah, I'm not gonna...
No, yeah, you're not a lawyer,
Yeah.
But there's no sidewalks there either. We're parking at the curb. There's no sidewalks in the street.
Right.
I'm sorry, you are one of the city... Can you give your city engineering credentials? I'm pretty sure I spoke with you last time.
Yeah, traffic engineer for the city.
And what's your name?
Stefan.
Okay, is there a way I can get this in writing in an email too? I apologize. I know it's got to be the dumbest thing ever. I've been talking to them about urine testing people that do this stuff, but they're not listening to me, and they don't like my hair test idea either.
Okay. I'm just not exactly sure what you want in writing.
Pretty much what I said on the video, that there are no sidewalks in the street. I don't understand why I need to do this, but if they're going to pull this garbage, then yeah, because I don't need to be cited next for parallel parking and stepping out my driver's side door to walk to the curb.
Yeah, I don't know how to respond to that one, but I mean...
An email that says that no sidewalk goes into the street. It goes across the street. All sidewalks terminate terminate where the street begins.
Well, I mean, it's a sidewalk...
Or whatever engineering specifications there are that, designates where the sidewalks start and stop. That'd probably work.
Well, a sidewalk itself is not in the road, but there are pedestrian crossings, so like a marked crosswalk.
Mm-hmm.
Which you could say is an extension of the sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
That is in the road.
Yeah. And if I remember right, there's no marked crosswalks in the area I was in. There'd only be unmarked crosswalks, but once again, those would not pertain to it if you were to parallel park on any of those roads, which there were a number of vehicles that did, and then step out of the driver's side of the door and walk around to either get something out of the passenger door behind the driver's side, or if you got a truck, or even just to go in your own trunk. Once again, you're still in the street.
Yeah.
I mean, don't ask me why. I feel like I'm in Alice in Wonderland when I'm dealing with these guys, but this appears to be the most effective way to make them stop if I'm missing the $50,000 I need for effective legal counsel. And I'm sorry, if you want to have a nice little talk with our new police chief about the matter. This idiot actually admitted to it on video that the only reason he's giving me the ticket is because I'm recording him. And I get it. I might want to get some less dangerous hobbies, but...
Here, one second. So can you write down your email address for me?
You already sent me an email, didn't you? Remember that...
I think I did. I printed stuff off for you.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I sent you.
Okay, that would have been Miss... I'm trying to remember...
Julia may have.
Yeah.
Julia's gone today.
or rather Mrs. I'm trying to pronounce it right. I don't want to mangle it. Okay. Yeah, next fun activity is the place zoned for apiaries. I was thinking of either raising lightning bugs or bees.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know what to say. We've got some 911 happy Karens when I try to walk up the hill behind my apartment, too, and there's like nothing built there. I mean, it's the dumbest things you ever heard of in this city. It keeps piling up, but for this one here, yeah, I'm going to fight it because I'm going to need to parallel park, I'm pretty sure, more than once. I'm going to need to cross the street, and if I see something going on, if I can see kids doing a game of basketball on the street, I'm pretty sure I can walk out where I don't see any traffic and photograph stuff as long as there's no traffic going down. Those laws the thing that he cited was basically something that had to do with people blocking the road, and this guy was already blocking traffic.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you want to give the squad cars a bubble of space, unless you if you don't have immediate business with them, but not one so big that you get out into traffic. And in my case, the minute he said anything to me, I was on the curb in less than 5 seconds. So it's the dumbest stuff I've ever heard, but I needed to stop, and God help me, I really don't want to be bothering you over stuff like this. Be much more fun to ask if you're zoned for bees or mushrooms or something else like that. Or maybe how to get my input the next time the city council goes on about bicycle lanes.
Bike lanes aren't all that bad.
No, they're not. The problem is when they take out a lane of traffic in an already congested city, and you got to deal with a whole bunch of motorists that don't understand that this is now your area of the road, and it's just much safer to be up on the curb and the sidewalk because vehicles don't usually go there.
Yeah, I think in a new reconstruct, that's what we would prefer, is to have them on the, off the road, kind of like 31st Avenue. But with the 4th Avenue, the intent goal was to get center turn lane in there to make that safety improvement, and then to utilize the rest of the road. We chose bike lanes for that instead of having.
Is there any way you could put something like a speed bump in between the corner of that bike lane so they're driving over something a little more substantive than a white line, and it gives the motorists the idea that they don't belong there?
Yeah, we've talked about a couple of different things to do there.
Or a rumble strip or something.
We've talked about that. Some kind of dome, so to speak, or some delineators on there too.
Would rumble strips be more cost effective? Just some that says, hey, you don't belong here. This isn't, the road's not here.
Possibly.
Because that would still be safe for a cyclist to go back and forth on if they need to get out and do a left turn across traffic. But it's, I don't know. Speed bumps to me would be a little more ideal because they're more of a barrier between the vehicles. But
right. Yeah, you kind of go on some of that. Is it a physical barrier or a visual barrier? Right. So a delineator is more of a physical or more of a visual barrier. Where you got like you can get what's called a portable curb. You can put it in there. That's more of a physical barrier because your car hits against that. But then,
yeah. But how long can these portable curbs be? Because if I remember right, it's about 4 miles worth of bike lane.
Yeah, you'd do them periodically. You wouldn't do the full lane. And then there's a maintenance aspect with that too of how you apply it. If it pops loose,
Mm.
you know, if you bolt it in the asphalt, and you're making a weak point in there too. So it's a kind of a balance.
Would you be making a weak point to go ahead and do rumble strips and maybe get some of that paint like what they've got for the wrong way side of the streets? Or can you put a wrong way paint in a bike lane or something like that?
Rumble strips a possibility. Wrong way paint, probably not too much. Because we're not necessarily worried about wrong way traffic. It's just keeping people in their lane, so to speak, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean...
And that's the delineator would do.
Because I know with the rumble strip, the drivers are already cued that that's basically where the road ends. You fall asleep or get distracted and you hear that rumble strip, you know, head up, get back to your lane. I remember I was supposed to be falling asleep while somebody was driving. I heard that rumble strip, I was up like a shot.
Right, yeah. My wife hates when we drive over them too. Yeah.
Well, it isn't hate, it's that if you're in the car alone and you sleep through a rumble strip, you're dead.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's kind of a standard option now on our standard design thing on 2-lane highways to put them in there, because it's a big safety improvement, for sure.
Well, 4-lane too, because I've had to do those. I mean, you run between Bismarck and Minot or Williston and Minot. I mean, those rumble strips really, genuinely do save lives because, I mean, I get done, I go to Bismarck for anything, it's a full day, and I start at 8 a.m., I'm coming home at 10 p.m. The soonest I get back is midnight, but my car gets the best gas mileage at 55 miles an hour. So that means my drive time is up to 2.5 to 3 hours instead of 2. Well, 2.5 to 3.5. But you get the idea. It's way longer. And then you include the stop at the cheap gas station that's in between because they've got the best gas. Yeah, we all know Tottenham. And you jack up the time, and I better be good on energy drink, or since my liver's giving me hell, black tea. And so, yeah, I've learned that rumble strip saves lives, stay awake, but I don't even know if all the DWIs respect it, but I go out and I try to cross that highway overpass that you've got, you know, that's between Marketplace Foods and Menards, and the traffic doesn't understand that I have a right to that lane. They don't care. They are going crazy. I don't know how many times I've almost met Jesus there.
Driving or walking?
Bicycling.
Oh, yeah.
And you try to stay in the shoulder, and the bike's going all over the place because one second it's gravel, the next second there's not. And so it's just safer, and nobody's even talked about putting pedestrian or bicycle crossings there.
It's in the works. I can't. I don't know if it's not programmed yet, so I can't give you a year. But we're looking at a future project to reconstruct South Broadway it's really 19th and a half Avenue, just north of 20th Avenue, all the way to the city limits. And with that, putting in a pedestrian bike infrastructure to cross US 2 will be with that. That's, I don't know, $47 million project.
Oh, that's all.
Yeah. So it's not, I think the engineering is programmed, but the project itself is not yet. And that goes through the state. The DOT. So it's in the works. I can't give you a window. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. One common sense thing I was thinking too, where you don't have room or places to put a bicycle lane, instead of wrecking a perfectly good lane of traffic, since those sidewalks are made extra wide for stuff like bicycles and baby buggies and such, why not just put a line down the center of the sidewalk to divide between the sidewalk traffic with wheels and the sidewalk traffic without? Or the fast moving with the pedestrian?
I've seen that more on wider sectional paths before.
Mm.
I don't know if we have the volume and how to warrant that.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, because as a cyclist, I'm thinking the rumble strips could hurt us worse than a speed bump, but I'm also thinking that the noise you're going to get before City Hall would be efficacy and stuff like that. And for a bicycle lane that works, it has to work for the people with the electric wheelchairs. And whatever those wheelchairs handle better, whether it's a rumble strip or a speed bump or whether they want nothing at all, or intermittent exits, entrances where they'd be crossing the street, to get in and out. That's stuff that I've got to consider too, because I wouldn't be the only cyclist. It'd be for the crazy ones with Val Cyclery's Wednesday crowd, to more sedate ones like me that are pulling a trailer, to the moms with the kids and the baby buggies, and the ones with the, and then the ones in the electric wheelchairs that, are using them to get from point A to point B.
When we do, like, the path on South Broadway, it will be an off-the-road path. It will be what's called a shared use path. So it will be off the road. It won't be the bike lane that you see at, like, 4th Avenue.
Okay. Well, from what I've seen, they got some sort of horn anyway to warn people. In my case, I just slow down or I go off the path to avoid people. I guess if there's no ill-mannered cyclist, it's not an issue to separate them out from the slower stuff, but we get big enough to where there are bicycle delivery people, that could be an issue that might need to be done.
Yeah, if things arise, we'll try to accommodate as best we can. We do have just kind of FYI, I can't remember, I think it'll be more so next year, I think, don't quote me. The MPO is going to do a pedestrian and bicycle, really just pedestrian and bicycle transportation plan for the metro. So it's Minot, and then it'll include Surrey and Burlington.
Cool.
So that'll be the plan, and then we'll see what kind of improvements or funding we can get from that plan. But it is something that's coming up, so keep an eye on it. It won't be. I believe it starts next year.
Are they going to remove snow from any of these, by the way?
They should.
Okay, because that's something that I remember real clear, was the story of the woman who was riding her bicycle in the main part of Minot, and she slipped on ice and fell. For the longest time, I had a torn up knee in both my pants and my thermal underwear from where my bike hit the brakes and went it went clean over my handlebars over the ice. And it's just stuff to think about. It's not really good to ride in the extreme cold anyway, but to just, I don't know. I apologize. I'm not trying to.
No,
It's just, I mean, our society right now, we're made to have vehicles, and not everybody can afford to have or maintain them. Not everybody's able to drive. I can remember the visually impaired candidate for the city council, and he said so many things that I wanted to back myself, because even though, I mean, it's like we want to give all the big expensive toys to people like the police, and I'm not saying that sometimes they shouldn't have them, but more often than not, we're dealing with situations where once we improve it for the disabled people, we improve it for everybody. And it just seems like a better access thing. So as convenient as it might be to have a lane for my bike, I need to remember the most important ones are the ones that are using the mobility scooters, the wheelchairs, the mothers with the kids, and yeah, the little old ladies that are running through there with the little portable grocery carts, or even the old ones with their trikes. I mean, the men with their trikes, or just everybody in between, because this is...
So, let's say unofficially, in the department, we have the design concept of complete streets in mind when we think about roads. And complete streets has I don't know if theory is the right word, but it's where you design a road for all users, not just for vehicles. So it's vehicles, pedestrians, people biking, or all the other things that you listed. So we do factor that when we either reconstruct a road, designing a new road, when we make improvements, we do factor a lot of those things in there.
If you mind me asking, I know the deal with jaywalking came out around the time that the Vanderbilts and people like that got their cars, and they were getting off for killing people in the middle of the road. So they started having that stuff to where faster traffic could go through, and in many cases it makes sense to give them a right-of-way, but it also makes sense to let the other stuff go through too, because when I was riding with Bal's Riding Club, they were going at about the clip that a slow vehicle would go at, the speed limit and such, and they could easily do that. They were getting frustrated, and I couldn't keep up with them. I'm actually trying to get my bike back so I can learn how to ride their course and then start trying to train for doing it at the speeds they do. But I noticed that like I said, that even though as a cyclist myself, when I'm on the sidewalks, I'm very careful to yield right away to pedestrians, to look for people and such. I know that's not always the situation with the other ones.
Well, I mean, as a general statement, if you're on the road, whether you're a car or a bicycle, you need to follow the rules of the road. So like those same.
Well, that's the thing. Motorists
apply to everybody.
Motorists, and I've noticed that myself, you don't really have to study for the license. You just have to fill it out, and most people know enough to pass without reading the manual and do it the first time. And they don't always know that just like motorcyclists have equal access to the roads, so do bicyclists, which is why those motorcyclists actually get so aggressive. They've had their own near misses, and they've got the speed to travel at highway traffic. They've actually got regular horns and lights. And from what I understand, their lights have to be on perpetually once they're on that road.
Yeah, I don't know on that one.
I don't know either. I guess it's a public awareness thing people aren't doing here. And in the end, it's everybody's good graces. One driver that's distracted or impaired in some way, and somebody that's having a stroke, they can be perfectly healthy, not touch a drop of alcohol or any controlled substance or anything that would impair them, and yet somehow have a stroke in the middle of driving to work, and that can spell death for me and anybody else that's bicycling or even just walking. So it's stuff there's only so much you can.
Right, like I can't put bumpers on every lane.
No, we can't. We can't turn a swimming pool into a bathtub either. Not to live. And I get it. I just do. I guess I better just pipe down. I don't want to sound ridiculous. It's no better than trying to have to explain to a judge that the reason why I did not use the sidewalk to cross the street is because there are no sidewalks in the street. There are no sidewalks that lead to the driver's side of the vehicle when I parallel park. I don't care if you don't parallel park. I frequent the parts of town where you need to. And it's kind of not lawful to say that I can parallel park but then cite me for climbing out the driver's side door or using pulling anything out of my trunk or the passenger side door, or I mean the door immediately behind the driver's side. I guess I better just pipe down, but I mean, if you got any of that use stuff, and I assume that you set the timing for the pedestrian crosswalks crosswalk signals.
Yeah, I do. Yep.
Okay, is there a way I could go ahead? I get a copy of it. I don't know if there's any rules or policies dictating the amount of time that those signals are supposed to be timed for. I know I like it when they do the countdown, because even as a driver, I know how much more time I have to reach the light.
Yeah, we created a standard for that. We revamped all of them throughout the city 5 years ago or so. And there's a standard that we use, and we each, I won't say intersection by intersection, but really crosswalk by crosswalk, and calculate it out and re-put that time in for every crosswalk in the city.
And all the ones that have the crosswalk lights show that. If you mind me asking, the situation I've had to deal with when the Lord's Cupboard was over on Burdick Expressway, and we had to cross to get there, I'd take my bicycle trailer through there and on and off the curb, I don't know how many times, but there wasn't a crosswalk light for that last road where I was crossing. 16, there was nothing directly across 16th for, you know, going across the rest of the way. Both the sidewalks stopped and, yeah, the Lord's Cupboard where it used to be. You know how the crossing, you'd have to cross 16th Street?
On Burdick?
Yeah, and then go over to where that used to be, that round-shaped metal building with the foam on it.
Ring a bell, but if it's west of 16th on Burdick,
Yeah.
yeah, there's no
Sidewalk and there's no crosswalk. There's only the stoplight. You got to go with traffic who's coming fresh out from under the railroad bridge, and they don't always see you.
I mean, if you're in the travel lane of.
Well, it wasn't always the travel lane. What I did is I stayed up on the grass because I didn't even want to play with the 4-lane. I mean, since it's 4 lanes on all sides of the intersection, but I still was compelled to cross 16th Street in order to reach Lord's Cupboard.
If there's no sidewalk or pedestrian facility over there, we're not going to put a countdown timer, so to speak.
No. And I don't know if there is now, but there was a crosswalk signal to go across 16. Yeah, it's Burdick and 16th, but not across 16th to Burdick the other way. And it wasn't a case of, just cross on the other side of the road, go around in a big old U. There just really wasn't a way to cross with the signal. I literally had to wait till oncoming traffic was stopped, going back and forth this way in the lane to go that way to the Lord's Cupboard and then back this way to get home. It was wild, too, because 16th had them all the way north and south past Highway 2, and that is safe because there's a sidewalk on the bridge, but not the other way.
Correct.
Yeah, you ever want to hear horns?
Yeah.
Try having a driver speeding through surprise you.
Right.
So the city hasn't fixed that one either, right?
Well, I mean, there's no path over there, so there's nothing to put in.
But is there any law against crossing the 16th Street if you've got to? Over at 16th and Burdick?
A law question that's going to be for somebody else.
Okay, no, that's all right. I apologize, but there's no engineering yet. Thank you for clarifying it. I apologize. I'm not trying to trap you.
Yeah, I was thinking. Law questions,
No, that's okay. It's the ridiculous stuff I have to deal with because, I mean, unless there's somehow been some big old change of law as a pedestrian, I know that you just cross when the lights are safest, but that's not going to stop the people that are doing left and right turns. Or any half a dozen other things. If you see that the traffic that's going this way as you're trying to go that way, it technically has a red light, you still got to deal with people making right turns that can do it at any time they see an opening, or left turns with the signal that doesn't always show on my side, to go through.
Yeah, we do have a project coming up. It's technically a DOT project that will add, it's at a 20 some locations throughout town. That'll add a combination of the 4-section flashing yellow arrowhead, so you can get the protected green arrow if you want it. It'll add the pedestrian countdown timer, so we're actually counts down instead of just giving the hand. And then we'll have it's called APS push buttons.
EPS?
APS, accessible pedestrian signal. So like it's the one that they talk back to you. And then we're adding a bunch of the dynamic no right turn signs. So if someone pushes a push button, if someone pushes the push button to cross here at an intersection, there'll be a no right turn. It'll be a sign, right? So most of the sign will go through it. But there'll be a no right turn sign that'll turn on for this guy, and then also for this one. This one.
Okay. What'll it do for the left turns, though? Because that's actually been where my near misses are. I almost got killed by a Memphis City bus because I was crossing, well, the signal was white, meaning that it's definitely for pedestrians, meaning she didn't have a light, but she didn't care, and I almost met Jesus that day.
Yeah. The flashing yellow arrow...
I went home to him anyway.
Yeah, right. Will give us some more opportunities, so to speak, if we want to implement those. There's things you can do with the pedestrian crossing and the flashing yellow arrow signal head that you can eliminate the permissive movement on that if you want to. So that's something
Would you please define permissive?
So, kind of like when you get the green ball to take a left turn, you have to wait for the other through. Or a flashing yellow arrow one, it's the flasher yellow. So you still have to wait for the other through to go before you can make a left. Or a protected left turn is when you get the actual green arrow to go. Does that make sense? So you can,
there's the signal pops on that the light's green, but they've got a yellow arrow and it says yield to traffic.
Yeah, so if it's green, it means you get the right of way.
You're expected to go.
If you get a yellow, you gotta wait for. If you get a yellow, the opposing through will have a green normally. So you need to wait, find a gap. But there's things you can do called poof ya.
Poof ya?
Protected arrow only omit flashing yellow arrow. If a pedestrian crosswalk.
That's something that's new for me as a driver.
Yeah, we haven't done it in town, but it is a thing on our, I don't know, something we're reviewing, so to speak.
Okay, well, I can remember getting a car with a tire pressure idiot light for the first time, and this looks like it's going to be entirely new territory for me as a driver. I've never heard of such a thing.
From a driver's standpoint, as long as you just follow the signal, that's all people would see.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and
it's more a thing on the back end.
Well, it's something to notify the driver if a pedestrian does have a signal, because if you're in an area with a lot of traffic, especially if you got piles of snow and that pedestrian's not visible, you're doing a left turn, you're looking for traffic that's going this way and that way. Besides you look at this, the traffic that's going this way and that way are supposed to be stopped because that's illegal for the left turn, but you're going this way and their traffic's going that way, and I've got to make sure to it I'm looking for a hole there, the traffic that's going here. I'm not expecting to get across as I'm making my left turn, see a pedestrian go barreling out of there. So that can be a lifesaver to have a pedestrian cross signal pop in and overrule that left turn, or at least warn me to look. I have my eyes peeled or something, because I mean that's always scared me when I'm driving. That once I get through that lane, I've got to be aware of anything that's in there, because there's been a couple of times I've been surprised by stuff like road work or other things. Because I kid you not, I'm trying to get out there to see left and to see back and forth to do the turn, and there's a massive vehicle, and I'm in this teeny weeny little gas saver. I can't always see what's there. Or there'll be a massive vehicle where I'm trying to do the left turn that's blocking my view there. And it moves, and thanks for talking to me about that stuff. I wouldn't mind seeing some more in detail later. I'm probably going to have to go ahead and burn this to YouTube and send it over, but it's just practical stuff, because what people aren't figuring when I do this stuff, it might look like it's crazy spur of the moment stuff. No. Basically, I'm trying to make sure that I'm within the law. I don't know if it's probably somebody else as far as law enforcement holding traffic when there's an accident on the street, or basically just acting as a signal device. But I mean, I've lived on the slow rural streets. I live on one now. I'm up one of the steepest grades in the city, and that's a scream for a car like mine. You know, with almost no horsepower, it can barely do it on a dry slope. I have to run up that thing like a rocket, and people are ignoring the no parking signs on the one side of the road. So I'm trying to get speed, and there's two vehicles in between, and it's like, whatever happens, it's not worth another person's life.
Correct.
Just slow down, hit reverse.
Yeah.
And I'm reversing back down the hill sideways. Yeah. And
no, thank you.
I try and have a talk with the neighbors. When you see me do that, would you please get back inside your vehicles?
Yeah, right.
I mean, I'm not necessarily in control of the car going sideways. Yeah. I'd rather not take out the garbage cans or the neighbors' cars.
Trust me, when that happens, my foot's on the brake.
It's supposed to be, but I could also be trying to steer to just get to one curb or the other so I can put a stop to the uncontrolled movement. That's one thing I'd actually love to see, is if the city could sort of smooth out some of these grades, even if it does make our yard a little deeper. I mean, and we have to get up a little higher just to not have it so necessarily so intense. I mean, just to have it a little safer.
Yeah, I would say when we can, we would take a look at that for sure.
Yeah. One other thing too, I greatly appreciate. Is it possible that the sand truck or the snowplow is also scared to go up that grade too?
I think from what I understand, there's some of them on those super steep hills. They actually go backwards. Mm-hmm. So they'll reverse up the hill, kind of will throw sand out and they'll drive on that sand as they go up.
Yes, they do that every time.
Yeah, I think it's by Minot State there. I think those dead ends there. They can get back in and then go down. Because they'll throw out sand and then drive right on that sand against the truck. Yeah.
And there's no practical way to really straighten out that grade, to make that grade less intense.
I mean, if it's through a street and you lower it one side, you gotta make it up somewhere else. So how that
I imagine it'd alter the yard and the sidewalk, but at the same time the hill would be less intense, so maybe just making it a longer slope or something.
We looked at that. We did some of that for the 16th Street project last year. You know, with computer modeling, you can take all those factors in. You know, we actually shifted the intersection of 11th Avenue over, and then we dug kind of two ponds, so you can kind of play with.
That's what you did.
You can kind of play with the earth, how much you're taking out, how much you need to haul away, how much you can put somewhere else. If you have areas to flatten out, like some of these hills, I would love to see is you have you have a hill coming down, an intersection in the middle. You know, I call it like tabling. And you go like this. If we can increase that tabling just a little further, that'd help the intersection, pedestrians, and crosswalks because it's a little flatter. The downside of that is you still got to go from 0 to 100, so if you make the flatter part longer, you just got to make that up on the slope of your road. Because you're kind of restrained. You can't fill in the whole valley or whatnot. But if that makes any sense.
No, actually, it makes a lot of sense, because what I'm looking for as a driver is a less intense slope, because when I'm dashing through the snow, it's not in a one-horse open sleigh, and I need to make sure to it that I'm in control. And the slope, I mean, it's like you said, you can't just shove it all in the utility access. The neighbors need their yard just so. It can't do it in such a way to damage other people's yards. If you're going to build it up so that the yard's not buried and redo the sidewalks so that it's a more gentle incline, that'd be nice, but it's also got to be done in such a way that it doesn't attract 20-foot drifts to cover the road.
Right. A lot of that's a big balance game, right? So if you do one thing, if you do X, how does it affect Y? If you do Z, how does it affect A or whatever? So you can kind of balance a lot of those things out. Really is best.
It'd be nice if they did a windbreak over at Home Depot. I can remember having to use my all-wheel drive vehicle to get in and out of there back when I had one. I could just go through those drifts in 1, 2, 3, but then I'm going up and down Burdick Expressway, and I kid you not, I'm going down that hill that leads to that intersection I was talking about. I wound up going totally out of control in an all-wheel drive vehicle, and the only thing I could do to stop from hitting another vehicle was to aim for the curb. And that's what I meant about it. When I realized the brakes weren't working, I immediately engaged the steering, and with a little bit of power, I was able to steer myself head first into a curb. And traffic's trying to figure out what to do with me because I'm parked that way. Well, the light cycle finished and the vehicles got done moving around me. I was able to extract myself and do it a little more safely without the momentum of the hill, but you picture that in a pedestrian crossing. I would like to request that the city be a little more vigilant about that, because if I got that out of control in an all-wheel drive.
That's kind of what I talked about, if we could increase, or we can't increase that tabling at intersections. I think that would help. So we do what we can. I mean, we reconstruct so many roads a year, so we do that when we can.
Yeah. And I'm one of those that's thinking that the way they need to be built, too, they need to be built to last like the Roman roads. But obviously, if we're going to keep moving stuff, you're probably thinking, no, they need to be built to last long enough till somebody changes their mind.
That's part of it. I mean, it's, vehicles are pretty dang heavy. Winter takes a toll on a lot of things. Winter and trucks are the two big ones.
They're talking about roads made of recycled tires in places like Sweden and other places, and they're supposed to be in perfect condition 20 years later, even when they're by glaciers. And I thought that was pretty incredible. It said that it'd do us a good deal of good to have a lot of these roads have 20-year warranties, but a lot of people that are running this stuff are thinking about how cheap they can build them.
I don't really deal with this really too often, but I know there's research in polymers, so to speak, that can, so like an asphalt road, when it gets cold, it shrinks. Right? That's why you have the crack. It's kind of like the skin. It shrinks, so you get the crack. So I know there's things you can do to add rubber or other stuff in there to kind of help that. But I think at the same time it also makes it not as strong. So I think there's a balance game with that. But I'm not. But there's other people here that know more about that.
Yeah, that's cool. That'd actually be stuff I'd like to take time to go ahead and look deeper into. I'm so busy with politics and other subjects, and one of the things they're talking about is our nation's infrastructure is crumbling. I want to hope and pray that'd be one thing they try to do to kickstart the nation once they get rid of this runaway fraud, is to try to, do effective things, because the people that were in favor of having a 20-year warranty on our roads were talking about the amount of money and trouble it was to constantly have to rebuild stuff. Like, right after they got Highway 2 done, they found out that the thing needed to be resurfaced because the connected contractor who, quote-unquote, won the bid hadn't done his job right. And just...
I know in a lot of our projects, if we mill and overlay a road, so I think the top if we mill and overlay 2 inches, but we'll do 2 inches down, we will come back again the next year and chip seal that to kind of just like seal in the top again. If that makes sense. So it's almost like you bake the cake, right? And then you come back later and you put the frosting on.
Okay, so that wasn't an error.
So I mean, I can't say if that was a DT project, it may or may not have been, but that's what we do. We typically, because they're kind of different, they're different purposes, right? So the mill and overlay kind of adds a little more structure, kind of gets moisture, I don't know what we'll call it, back in the road. And the chip seal kind of protects the surface, because water does a lot of damage to roads. So that chip seal kind of provides like, you know, if you ever like polish a car, right? You provide that clear coat to the whole thing, and it kind of protects it, gives a little buffer or armor. That's what that chip seal is supposed to do, to kind of keep it up. And there's fresh oil gotta go in there and kind of fill in anything that's dried out, is cracked over that first year. Oil will kind of go in there and fill it up, because you'd rather have that full of oil than water, because the water expands, contracts, that's what kind of breaks up roads.
Whereas the oil doesn't, and
yeah, oil will kind of like glue, right? It'll kind of keep it together. It'll shrink and expand together.
It's more consistently with the material of the road.
Yeah, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it than that.
Someone was telling me that potholes are like sinkholes that open up under the roads.
I don't know. I mean, potholes can form for multiple reasons. But, something underground could be one of those reasons.
Okay. Well, that's stuff I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm curious about it. I mean, what I was studying was computer engineering, but one of my physics professors did a lot of structural stuff, and I don't know, it kind of intrigues me because it's public matters too. Just like our fiber optics that are running under the city and half a dozen other things that they're getting ready, or the smart meters, this stuff matters too, because I've noticed that between June and November, there's nearly always construction. I always run into some form of construction, it seems that way when I'm doing 2 or 83, to or from Bismarck, to or from Williston, or to and from some other city like town or somewhere else. There's nearly always construction on at least one leg of a trip if you go more than 30 miles out.
Right.
Always.
There could be, yeah. And then, I mean, asphalt, you got to do more maintenance on it. It's typically cheaper to do, but it doesn't last as long. Concrete typically lasts longer. You know, you only have 5 or 6 months during a year to do construction as well, so you can't. Everything's going to be done kind of at the same time.
That small window.
Yeah.
That's part of what I was talking about, the 20-year warranty, because that means that there'd be less trouble with constantly repairing the roads, but if things change quicker than the road, you'd have to be in a way that the roads would have to be constructed in a way that if things change, you're not ripping up the road that's under warranty.
Yeah.
You're adding on to it or something, but not ripping it up.
So we chip seal our roads. We're trying to do it on like a 7-year rotation. Chip seal it every 7 years. And that's kind of just that little layer of rock and oil back to kind of just fill in those gaps with oil and provide a new dragging surface.
I've been here 13 years, so I guess I'm due to see the next cycle.
Yeah. Not saying we've been through I don't know if we've been through the whole city on that, but that's our game plan now. I can't say what it was 7 or 10 years ago. The street budget has significantly increased at that point. So that's trying to get to more improvements on systematic basis or holistic basis. So that we can get to the point of maintenance is just routine and easier and cheaper versus going necessarily at the worst of the worst roads, if that makes sense. So we're trying to, we have a game plan, kind of following through on that, and we're working through that.
Do it where the maintenance is easier as opposed to the worst of the worst roads?
Yeah, so what I mean by that is, you know, if we can keep a road in a level of chip seal, it's a whole lot cheaper over its lifetime versus letting it go bad and having to mill and overlay it. You can kind of think of, if I need 2 inches of asphalt, it's going to cost a whole lot more than a 1/4 inch of asphalt. Right? So if we can just do that 1/4 inch a couple times versus the whole 2 inches, it's cheaper over the lifetime, and then you can get more road surface cover that way.
Okay.
Instead of trying to simplify it very.
No.
Fit it in.
Yeah, that's all right.
Nothing's perfect.
I didn't take the courses as well as other people, but when I'm a citizen and I'm listening to how we need this much in budget, this much in budget, it's more than a little disturbing to see them laying fiber optic lines for AI and other things. But knowing that we don't have access to it for our internet because it's like the joke of the world that we're paying more for solar internet, and at the same time, this also takes from the budget for our roads to be safe and effective. We've got. I can remember when I was on the city's case because they wanted their own bomb squad, and it's like, wait a minute here, we need snowplows. I mean, when I had that SUV and I went sideways on 16th, there was like no salt or ice, and I had an all-wheel drive vehicle. I can remember also driving out to 30th, and the snow drifts were higher than the SUV. I wish I'd have been able to pull over and take a photograph because I could literally, it looked like I'd stand on the roof of my car and not see over the top of those snow drifts. The SUV, it was that intense.
Yeah, I remember that big 4-foot snow we had a couple years ago. That's pretty crazy.
Oh, the Easter snowstorm?
Yeah, April 20th or something.
Yeah, around there.
Yeah.
April 17th and 13th. But it came in 2 waves, and it was like 3 feet. We had snow that was maybe about the height of my calf at the highest point for the whole winter, and then suddenly in April it just slammed us.
Yeah, that was nuts. I remember snow blowing my driveway mid-blizzard. It felt weird.
Oh, I did it about 5 or 6 times too, because by then the SUV was gone, and I had my tiny little car, and we were digging each other out, and I wasn't even sure I could make it down the road. And I'm trying to get some of the people from the heavy equipment company that were so nicely digging us out to go across the way, because I knew this 73-year-old lady that needed help getting around. And I was able to talk one of them into coming over to clear out her snow so she could get out of her house. It was extra fun too when the guy in the truck trailer somehow got lost in that area and got himself stuck solid. And the cops laughing. I love it when they're stupid. This guy was fresh from Louisiana, never driven in our type of weather, didn't understand that area is like this big old dead end where they catch one car thief after another and people get lost. And he got his sideways, and I wound up having to bring out my snow shovel collection, and everybody is going crazy trying to dig him out. Yeah, you might want to put some warning signs on that. Not for trucks or through traffic.
Right.
Stop your deliveries. From what I understand, they're still closed at that stretch, that elbow where you go past that park. You go into the water park, where 9th Street turns into Central.
Yeah, it's still closed. Yeah, still. Right now, I think it's technically part of their construction site still. So.
What are you going to do there, if you mind me asking? Because I can remember when that street that led from the library, led between the library and that railroad way was completely closed, and you couldn't get up there.
Which stretch? The stretch by the pool that's closed?
Well, whatever's between 9th and Central is closed. What are they doing there?
It's part of the flood control project. So they're building it's part of there's going to be a levee and then a flood wall, and then there's also a lift station closer to the pool that's going in right now. So it'll look just like on kind of what's on 4th Avenue, kind of by Sammy's, so to speak. It'll look similar to that.
Okay, so they're building flood control there.
Flood control, and then on Central itself, there's a lot of infrastructure going back, underground infrastructure going back in. So like water and sewer and stuff like that's going back in.
So are there water and sewer currently disrupted now?
I think everyone down there, from my understanding, has water and sewer. I don't know how it was traffic engineering. I don't know how the ins and outs of connecting, disconnecting that took place. But yeah, everyone. That's an essential service, so you are always connected to water and sewer. Really, just as a general statement. If we need to rip out your water main in your house, you'll have temporary water provided to you. So no matter what, people have access to water.
Is it like a policy, or is that an actual law about temporary water?
I'm not sure. I'm the wrong person to ask.
Who would I ask?
Probably the utilities director.
Is he in now?
I'm not sure. I'll have to look.
Okay, because I'm wondering if that's a local thing or a statewide thing. If it's a policy or a code. When I was over at City Hall last, and there was this measure that was a big deal to everybody. We were all a friend of mine who knows the law very well was asking if it was a policy or a code. Hi, are you the utilities director?
I am not.
Okay.
I am looking for Stephanie.
Oh, I was asking him a whole bunch of questions. I apologize. I went beyond why there weren't sidewalks into the streets and more about pedestrian crossings, because I actually have had to deal with some really dangerous crossing situations before, and I wanted to check about what the city's plans were, and I don't know if... I guess I should ask the city council the next time they're going to have stuff in front of them, or where it hits, whether it's the county board or even a statewide thing on some of these roads. But I was just curious about certain things with the crossings. My hobby, I get around a lot on the bicycles when I have them in the seasons there.
We've talked about this, Melissa. Don't worry.
Okay. Yeah, this is part of the reason I use the camera on FaceBind. You probably passed me a couple of times on one of my bikes, too.
Maybe. But yeah, I do need to steal Stephanie.
I
Okay.
can go see if Jason's here, if he has time to talk. But I would like to go back to work and talk to Dan. If that's fair.
Yeah. Hey, thank you. Your secretary, when she comes back, Mrs. I'm trying to remember if I pronounce it right. Vorgage? Close enough. Yeah, just like mortgage. And for some reason, I'm remembering Vorgage instead of mortgage. She has it. She has my email too. But yeah, if you could get that out sometime today or tomorrow, I do need to send that in because I apologize for the Alice in Wonderland situation, but I assume you know too that the city does not pay to put sidewalks in the street.
Well, it depends.
There are sidewalks in the street at any part of the city. It depends on what.
What is happening?
So there's a sidewalk in the street? Okay, there's not a sidewalk in any section. Yeah,
Where sidewalks usually go.
but you've never seen or heard of a sidewalk in the street, any part of a Minot City street, right? There's no way somebody can use a sidewalk to cross the street.
I mean, that's usually what the crosswalk is for, right?
Yeah, and you don't use a crosswalk when you're parallel parking and you've successfully parked the car and now you're getting out of the driver's side door to walk around the car to get on the sidewalk, right?
That's a pretty specific situation you got there.
Where you parallel park? Is parallel parking a rare thing in the city?
Depends.
But it's not legal to park where the parallel park where the driver's door is up against the sidewalk, right? Or that's not how it's designed, right?
I can't see the situation you're trying to paint in my head, so I can't really answer your question.
When you parallel park, the driver's side is always facing the street, right?
Sure, I guess.
Hello, I heard there was a water question.
Yeah. I got told that when a person's water gets cut for a public works project or any situation that doesn't involve not paying the bill, that the city provides temporary water.
Not when people don't pay their bill, they don't.
That doesn't involve not paying the bill.
So what does it involve?
Well, construction, I kind of like what I mentioned.
When we're doing water main replacement, we're replacing the water main in the street, so we run temporary water to every house.
Okay. Is that what's going on over at where Central turns into 9th?
Well, not right now. That temp water is run on top of the ground, so it would all be frozen right now. So we only do that during the summer.
Okay. Do you also do that when you're replacing the sewer? No, the temporary water is only when you're replacing the main.
Yeah.
So why were you replacing the main?
Because they were put in about 1920, and they've met their useful life, and they need to be replaced.
For only 126 years.
Some.
No, 106.
We have some water mains that are over 100 years old in the ground still. So.
Okay. Yeah, about how good is that orange tar paper as far as septic goes?
Depends where you live. Some places people have Orangeburg and it still works just fine. Other places it's starting to collapse and people are having to do replacements.
You see a lot of that up on the hills past the university?
I would guess. It's kind of spread all over town depending on the age of the house and what year stuff was constructed.
Okay. Yeah, let's just say I've had a lot of exotic issues over there. My favorite, the tree roots blocked off my septic, and
Oh, yeah.
it was fun. The property management didn't want to come. 3 weeks later, he comes in there and he can't even breathe in the bathroom.
Ah, yeah.
Had that fan running 24/7. Thank you. I was just curious about it, but is it a rule that if their water's supposed to be connected and you got to run temporary water, they have to do that, or is that just sort of a courtesy?
I mean, I don't know that it's a rule. I mean, but it seems probably out of the norm to, it takes us weeks to replace a water main. So we can't just take people and say, well, you're going to be out of water for weeks. So we hook them up to temp water. We do that for all of our water main replacement projects.
That seemed to be something I wanted to ask, because I know when they were dealing with the matters that I was interested in city council, my friends asking, is that a law or an ordinance? And they're like, no, it's just policy.
Yeah.
And so I was curious if this was policy or if there were laws or regulations that
I don't know if there's laws or regulations. It seems like it would. I don't know. I'd have to look into it. It's just, it's a common courtesy that you wouldn't take people and expect them to go without water for weeks to months. It's just not acceptable behaviors. We don't do that.
That's something I greatly appreciate. I actually rented from some people where we could wash with the water, but we couldn't drink it, and because they didn't test it the whole time I rented, and it was very strange and so on. But it was what went down, and I actually had a friend of mine who had his water cut off, and I'm trying to remember the reason they gave, but he was paid up. And then there's a story of there is a story in another state of Marvin Heemacher, who I never knew, but
Yeah, I guess I don't know who you're talking about.
No,
But,
that's okay.
Sometimes, if people don't pay, for, some other services, like really the only thing that we have that we can use as any sort of an enforcement tool is our water service. So if you don't pay for one utility, then you lose them all.
So you'll cut water even if it's paid up.
Well, their utility bill. So your utility bill includes water, sewer, garbage, storm sewer, all those things. So we've had people that decide that for some reason they don't want to pay a certain bill or something, so you don't get to choose which bills you pay and which ones you don't.
Mm. Okay, are you rolling it all into one?
Yeah, that's how a utility bill shows up.
Okay.
It's itemized.
Yeah, my property management covers that, but there was some strange goings on, so I was just kind of curious if it's a uniform state law, if it's a county law or code or ordinance, or if it's a municipal one.
Yeah, it's just the whole temp water service stuff. That's just what we do as part of our projects.
Well, not just the temp water, but the part about where they cut it. But I'd have to have my friend's specifics on what went down there, and I'd want to have the specifics about what policy would permit cutting and what wouldn't.
I think that's an ordinance.
Municipal or county?
Municipal.
Okay.
I'd have to look it up. But yeah, we have the authority to turn off water for unpaid up accounts.
But, do you have any reason beyond that or construction?
No, basically just construction. But like I said, we provide temp water during that. So.
Okay, and I assume that there'd be some emergency situations like a busted main, but that'd probably go right back into construction.
Yeah, they're usually limited. Limited shutdowns if we have to do a repair. A lot of times, if we have to do like if there would be a water main break that would happen here in like the next few hours, we'd go out and shut it off. We'd probably go door to door and give people water. We don't want our workers out when it's pitch black, when it's really cold. That's when accidents happen. So we'll usually come back bright and early the next morning at sunup and start doing all the repairs. So then we'll provide water to people, a case of bottled water or something.
That's greatly appreciated.
Try to do things to help people out. Not usually good situations. So.
No, it's okay. It's policies to learn because everybody's talking about, well, you don't know this, you don't know that. And it's questions to ask because when you're seeing it debated at City Hall, all it is an item on the agenda, but you flesh it out. Or in my friend's situation, he didn't know, I didn't know, I still don't know, but I figured it was worth it, when the other guy was talking about the streets, and streets were his forte, he didn't know about the water mains. And I used to live in that neighborhood. I still use the shortcut through there, or used to until it was completely blocked, to visit friends and stuff like that, or just as a thoroughfare. And I know the area, so I was curious. And he's like, oh, we give water as a courtesy. And my friend had a water shut off. I was pretty sure it was paid up, but that's here nor there. I'd have to find out whether or not the same regulations that you are, even if there are regulations that allow you to provide temporary water, what went down there, the different colorful things that can vary. What I'm curious about, I've read a lot of dystopian or disaster novels or history of disasters, and I am curious. When I was a teen, my mom rented a place without potable water, as I said. 2 blocks over, they had a fire pump, and we had a little red wagon. They had a hand pump at the fire station, and we had a little red wagon. So that was how we got our drinking water. My mom actually had to supply a pump to get water to the house. And it was an interesting story, an interesting situation to say the least, but I was curious, how common is it for there to be any kind of water that's accessible via hand pump, or does it wholly have to be through faucets?
I don't think that we have anybody around with hand pumps, but there's probably still some people in town that have private wells. And, they have electric pumps on them, but there's places along East Burdick that aren't necessarily annexed into the city of Minot yet, and they're probably, and a lot of those are on well water.
Cool. I didn't know that. I was just curious because that was one thing I was curious about. When they talk about this or that disaster scenario and food and everything else, someone was pointing out that if we had the right solar flare and our electrical system went down, everything that's dependent on it would, and I assume that'd be the water.
Yeah, and we have emergency generators on a lot of our facilities, so we probably can't make as much water as we need in the middle of July. We'd have to do some restrictions, but we can run our water plant, we can run all of our pump stations, and we can run a lot of our wells on emergency power.
Even with the solar flare pulse?
Yeah, unless it takes out the generators, I don't.
That's what I was curious about, because you mentioning generators, but from what I understand, these aren't the old-fashioned things that I would have seen in my father's day. These would be the modern new ones that would once again require a diode and could be taken out by a pulse wave of some form.
Yeah, I guess I don't know anything about that.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm the one that studied a little bit of electrical engineering. Not enough to really know stuff, but just enough to ask questions.
Sure. Hey,
Be curious.
I just got a call. I need to.
Thank you
return, so.
thank you for letting me ask them.
Yeah.
And if there's a way I could arrange next time through, God only knows what I'm going to have to verify next. But believe it or not, my initial mission was about sidewalks in the street, and I'm going to talk to the friend that had his water cut off. And I was curious, where would I go if I was interested in any kind of regulations or rules regarding that water shutoffs thing?
There's in the city municipal code. There's a whole section on water and sewer.
Okay, so that'd probably be the one that regulate it, not state or county?
That's regulated at the local level.
Okay. Are there any rules or codes against hand pumps?
I don't believe so.
Because that's what I'm thinking. If there's a situation like what they had in Los Angeles, or even what I saw in Memphis, where a transformer shut our power down, just the idea that there'd be a hand pump there, so if in an emergency people could get water.
Sure.
But that's my lady thinking. I had a home in northern Wisconsin where basically we had to do our own well, and we had to put a hand pump on said well. And it was interesting. We actually had a cat freeze herself to the ice. We definitely got enough things frozen when we were trying to get water in sub-zero weather, but it was a lifesaver, and it was actually a commonplace thing back in the pioneer days. And whenever they talk about how would you handle this emergency or handle that one, the thought always pops in the back of my head. The first thing you need to make sure is that you've got access to potable water.
Oh, sure.
And it's been years since I've seen hand pumps.
If you just put in a hand pump to a well, it's not necessarily potable.
No, it's got to be tested.
You would have to have that tested to know for sure.
But you said there are a number of people that are private wells. The fire department where I live did have their water tested.
Oh, yeah. And I would guess, I think First District Health manages all the private wells around. So they're the ones that do testing to make sure that they don't have coliform bacteria or things of that nature.
And coliform is what you're mostly looking for, not contaminants like...
There's some contaminants that'll affect, digestive issues. High sulfates are not good. High sodium generally not great. So there's things to be concerned about with untreated water, but mostly it's the bacteria, things of that nature.
Or the stuff that's dangerous even in treated water, like inorganic metal or toxins. I remember Ivy something or another, her book Full Body Burden, she talked about it, that there was her family was lucky that they didn't have a private well. One did, and the whole family got sick and their garden wouldn't grow, and they didn't know why. But apparently it was because of the nuclear facility that Dow Corning operated near the Four Corners.
Oh.
But that's probably something that I'm not sure if I should be asking questions about whether or not they test for that or not. What kind of fee they charge or anything else. For me, if there was an emergency plan, that's kind of where I'd be interested in, would be where are the hand pumps in the city? Where could I access them? How far would I have to go? Because if there was a blackout or a brownout that lasted for any length of time, that would probably be the best way to get water.
Yeah. There's no hand pumps in town that I know of. None under our control anyway.
None under the city's control.
No.
I won't lie, I kind of miss those days because those old things didn't break, and, well, you have to test for bacteria and other things that are possibly in there. Not only was the water not fluoridated, but...
Oh, I have a meeting I have to go to.
Yeah. Well, thanks for bearing with me. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. Have a good one.
Hi, Linda. Did I cure your... hi, Lindell. Did I cure your insomnia? Looks like I have driven everybody nuts. God help me if I try to save this one to the phone.